Well, relieving suffering. I mean, I went off the grid for 10 years, Jackie, to just study with an enlightened teacher and practice meditation. And I eventually awakened myself. So now my greatest joy in life, I mean, when I awakened, there's nothing like that. That rocks your world. You're done.
Yeah.
But my greatest joy now is praying for others, doing great fun apps and great events that are like little mini rock events that are for positive thinking and healing, and just to have people release their suffering and release their fears. When I see people becoming healed, waking up to who they are and their purpose, releasing their fears, it's indescribable how much joy that gives me, because I know I'm just used as a conduit for this. And I've got so many different tools that anyone from any walk of life can use. So it's like this huge toolbox, from affirmation songs to meditation to all these gorgeous apps that we're creating, and music every year, new music. And that's what gives me the most joy, because no one needs to suffer. No one.
True.
It's not a natural part of being. It does assist us to stretch our wings and grow if it doesn't make us go backwards. If the pain that we're going through doesn't turn someone into an alcoholic or a drug addict or to deep depression, if they can climb out of the quagmire of whatever pain they're going through, it does stretch you. But not everybody gets to climb out of that quagmire. And that's one of the things I love to do, is pull them out. Screaming sometimes, but pull them out.
No, I get it. But then what advice would you give to someone who feels stuck or lost when it comes to finding their life's purpose?
Well, don't think about your life's purpose, because everyone's life's purpose is enlightenment, is to awaken. It's not the job. It's not what you do. If you are absolutely stuck, just know to get out of being stuck, forget about worrying about money, your purpose, or anything like that. The first thing we have to do is release your fears. So how do you release your fears? Well, the affirmation songs help tremendously, but also to, first of all, your environment. You must clean up your environment, because it is changing your consciousness. It's making you more depressed. You didn't wash your dishes up this morning. What's up with that? You're depressed. Otherwise, of course, you'd wash your dishes. You didn't make your bed. Why didn't you? You don't feel like it because you're depressed.
Right.
Clean up your environment. Clean out your closet, even the boot of your car, what you guys call the trunk of your car.
Yes.
Clean yourself. Wash your hair. Get a new do. Whatever you need to do to feel good within yourself and your environment. That's the first thing to do, because if you don't change what you're looking at and clean your environment, you'll go backwards very, very fast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and you talked about music, the power of music earlier with your singing, your manifestations as well. Your manifestation video book, which is great, by the way. I was even listening to it again today. Your app as well. It's generated a lot of excitement. Can you tell us a bit about what inspired you to write it and what readers can expect from it?
Well, great question, Jackie. I love the way, I call it getting downloads.
Yeah.
Ideas come to me. I mean, I've just finished a new book called Stop Thought, and I was going on a walk. I live in the countryside, and all of a sudden I saw a stop sign for the cover, Stop Thought. And so things like that just come to me. And what happened was, I'd written the book, Manifestation Through the Power of Mysticism, written all the chapters. It was all done. And then the next step, I always do the audio book. So I did the audio book. And then I said to my friend Holly Fuller, who's an amazing young lady, who started out as my student, but now she works developing the apps and doing all this great stuff. And I said, let's make it into a video book. And so what we did was we found, because we think in pictures, even if people don't realize, I have this big cushion of one of my Siamese cats put on. A friend of mine gave it to me as a gift. And my other Siamese cat, when he saw it, he freaked out. Big Tail ran away because he thought it was a big cat in front of him. He didn't know it was a cushion. and that is what it is. We absolutely create our reality through visual.
Right.
And so I said, wouldn't it be great? They're watching all of these great images that are corresponding absolutely perfectly with what I'm talking about, whether I'm talking about meditation or money or whatever it is I'm talking about. So they're looking at the pictures while they're listening to me. And then at the end of each chapter, let's do a music video with all the great images that go along with the affirmation pop song lyrics. And that's how we began. And we didn't know at the time that no one in the world had ever done that before, a video book. And a couple of friends of mine that are best-selling authors said, well, this is it. This is the new way of doing a book. No more just audio book. So that's how it happened. And we're going to do a new one coming up called Self-Esteem for Kids from my album that I've got for kids. Going to put animation and little kid stuff. So they're listening to the affirmation songs, singing along with me, which is me doing voiceover of all these little baby animals. And that's going to be great for kids because parents adore that album for kids because it gives them self-esteem and all this positive lyrics about who they are. And anyway, it's just joyous because once you start creativity, you can't stop. It just keeps coming to you, what you can do next, what you can do next. And so thank you for asking the question. I love the video book. I love it.
Well, I have to tell you, I enjoyed listening. My favorite is chapter 2, Through Meditation, You Can Become Prosperous. I listen to it all the time. I think it's very, very good. It's very inspirational. So excellent job on that, by the way. I wanted to ask you about Bob Proctor, because I know you had the privilege of working closely with the legendary Bob Proctor. Can you share what it was like to collaborate with him and how it shaped your own journey?
Oh, great question. Love you, Bob. For those who don't know, he's left the body a couple of years ago. But anyway, what happened was during that time in Australia, some other promoters came to me and they said, we would like you to tour with this author called Bob Proctor. And they offered me the amount of money and what it would do. I still have my band going, but I said to the band, let's just, I'll make more money doing this with this guy. And I hadn't had time to even look at any of his books or anything. I knew nothing about him. And the first gig was in Sydney at what used to be called the Regent Hotel, which is now called the Four Seasons, right on the harbour of Sydney near the Opera House. Beautiful. And I did a couple of my affirmation songs, and then we had a break in the green room while everyone went and had coffee and tea. And he came out. It was the first time I've met him, right?
Yeah.
And he said to me, I did not want a pop singer at one of my events. And I looked at him. He's a really tall guy. I'm only 5 foot. A really tall guy. And he said, and I said to him, well, nice to meet you too, mate. And then he started laughing and he said, I'm just kidding. He said, but I'm serious. I really didn't. He said, but the promoters insisted. They've paid me to come here and they've paid you. And he said, but those 2 songs, Magnet to Money and I Am Energy, that you did previously, I know every lyric now. You got people up on stage dancing and singing these affirmation songs. I want you to work with me all over the world from now on, because this is something so different. The energy of everybody, they're alive, they're awake. And it was an evening event. So that's how I started work. I gave my band 6 months notice. The first big gig I did with him was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I ended up living there for 3.5 years, had hit records there and ran his whole company, did all the seminars and everything. And we worked together 7 years straight. Yeah. And I love him. Linda, his wife, is just amazing. Absolutely amazing lady. She came up with the name Musivation for what I did. Yeah. And because I'd always been like having to be so self-disciplined, but always so creative and working so hard, but never thinking I'm working so hard. What's got to be done next? And he's exactly the same. So we were just so prolific with all the products we wrote. And he ended up actually writing a lot of the lyrics for one of my albums called Songs for Success, writing the affirmations. Oh. And we just collaborated on all this stuff. He would fax me back in the day, right? he's in Toronto, I'm in Kuala Lumpur. He would fax me lyrics, and I would just go to the keyboard and write a song. And he would come back, and I'd already recorded it and everything. He would be blown away. And then when we would do a talk based on the song and record those as I think the world has them now. I mean, he sold them in many different places all over the world.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened.
Oh, wow. Are there any specific practices or strategies that you continue to use from time to time with Bob as your teacher that he actually taught you what to do and how to implement those strategies? Can you share them with us and our listeners?
He didn't really share any. We collaborated.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
It was
no, we just collaborated. We
Yeah.
didn't, he wasn't my mentor. He was just this great person that I work with, and we created stuff together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
But I think it was just that working with someone who is at that level of energy where you are creatively is such a blessing. And I guess if I learned from anything from it, it's like, don't work with anybody who's not on board like you are. You know, if he asked me to do something, I'd have it done before he even knew it was done. And he would do the same thing if I asked him to get something done. And there was one of the things, okay, I've got a really good story. This is something I did learn from him full on, which was great. We were at this big dinner. These promoters had come out wanting Bob to do this big event, and he always had me sing and speak as well at these events and bring musicians and dancers on the stage to make it really groovy. Anyway, and he got up just as the main course was being served. He got up and walked away, and I knew he'd gone. I knew he didn't like these promoters. And after a while, one of them walked away and came back and said, he's not in the men's room, whispered to someone else. And I said, oh, no, he's gone. And they said, well, why didn't you tell us? And I said, well, I guess I waited to wait and see if someone noticed. And they said, well, why is he gone? I said, he doesn't want to work with you. And they said to me, why do you think? And I said, you were raving on about the money and we should charge zillions of dollars per ticket. And he's not a greedy person and you are. And I guess I should go now too before someone hits me. And he would just walk away from, it had nothing to do with money. He wouldn't collaborate with people that were greedy or wanted something from him, you know, who were trying to get his energy or
Right.
you know, if it wasn't an equal collaboration, he would never work with people. And I learned, and I'd always done that as well. I really had, but sometimes I had let the men in the music industry walk all over me. And sometimes you sort of had to a bit back in the 80s because it wasn't like today where you can just release your own music. You
Right.
had to, you know, if there was a song that me and my band had written that we knew was going to be a hit, and the record label would say, no, we want you to do this one that you wrote. And we would say, but this one's so much better. And they're just suits and ties. They weren't even musicians. And we would, you know, end up saying, okay. And then we know we'd made a mistake when the song didn't hit or something. So it was really challenging back in the day to fight a record label.
Close activity. Oops. Please. Guys, what you do? Discord as a sea gain some trouble. Two hours Facebook stream. 2 hours. Actually, it's 2 hours 19 minutes, maybe even longer than that. But thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for passing through. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the abundance of likes, the abundance of shares. Thank you for the abundance of notice. Thank you for the continuous love and support. Yirig. And I can't wait to do this again. This was my first Facebook Live. And it was fun. It was alright. It was chillaxing. It was inspiring. You dig? And I want to leave by saying, don't be afraid to try and take risk and be very perseverance. To apply perseverance in whatever you do. Yes. Today, yesterday, and tomorrow. So yeah, guys, heading out one time, no sticking, no whining. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Kaboom.